Well, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Innovation Stage. I'm Neil, and I am going to be the moderator for this session, which is Sensory Design, Imagining the Impossible, which I think sounds a lot like something Disney would like to do, but I think we'll definitely get into the depths of that very shortly. Now, full disclosure, at this moment, I am not the original moderator for this session. In a very peak 2022 kind of way, we had a cancellation. And so I've been asked to step in at last minute. Now, I'm not a designer. I have no design experience. I mean, I've painted my kitchen wall and I've put up a mirror. So a little bit of design experience. But I'm not by any means an expert. But luckily, I have three exceptional designers on the stage here. So my input can be very minimal. I just have to ask the questions. I have got on our panel today, ladies and gentlemen, we have got Robert Westerveld, we've got Roelfien Vos, and we've got Gerrit Vos at the end there as well. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask each of you individually to introduce yourselves so that our guests know who you are. So, Robert.
Well, my name is Robert Westerveld, and I'm working as an interior architect for MUURBLOEM Design Studio. I started out working in F&B in the kitchens of, among others, Hilton Hotel. And after that, I changed profession to become an interior designer.
My name is Roelfien Vos. I'm an interior designer. I have my studio here in Amsterdam. I am working in this field now for over 20 years, 22 years to be precise. We have a 70% that we do in designing a residential, high-end residential, and on top of that we have a 30% that we're working in the commercial and hospitality field, and we do that with lots of fun, which is, I think, the most important thing.
I'm Gerrit Vos from Workshop of Wonders, which I founded in 1993. So we've been doing it for a while, and we've really focused ourselves through the years on identity and shifting more and more towards the hospitality side of things. It's our embedded love for fantastic environments to stay, to create places which leave lasting memories, sensory environments. We've focused on different types of clients through the years, but every client for us is a unique experience. So we start actually with pretty much a blank slate. We were allowed to do a Nike years ago, the hospitality center of Nike Europe, which was amazing. But currently we're doing a lovely villa in Umbria. And Tony Chu is here, the client with which we created the Florian Hotel, finishing it off end of last year in Hoofddorp. A wonderful hotel with 150 rooms for located or focusing on the global millennial, like Tony himself.
Thank you very much. Now, look, I think the first place we should start, as this is a sensory design discussion, is individually. What does sensory design mean to you all as designers?
Well, to us at MUURBLOEM Design Studio, we are always aware of the interlinked nature of the interior. It's made up of elements which communicate with each other. They talk with each other, and they enter our aura, our way of feeling through the senses. But we are also aware that these senses communicate with each other. They are linked to each other, and they come together in our little brain or in our body, in our stomach, and they talk together to create a language, a symbol, and that makes up the whole experience. So we're always looking at the whole. What do these senses, what do these feelings constitute? How do you sit on these chairs? What do these chairs communicate? You feel the little nudges, the little ripples in the back, and it's like a little massage. Is it sweet? Is it nice to sit? So that's the level we think about when it comes to the senses.
Yeah, thinking about sensory design, I think it's so fun that I think our whole life is about sensory. There's not much that is not based on sensory. So I think in designing, everything that you design, you have sensory in the back of your mind. So that already starts with looking at the website for the guest who is searching for a hotel. And if the hotel has a nice presentation on their website with maybe a film, 2 out of 3 people find their hotel by looking at a small film. If you do that very professionally, you already have a very clear sight on what you get later on. So it starts very early in the process, and I think that is very important in designing, not just looking at the interior design, not just looking at the concept, but also the graphical part of it and the social media, the websites, etc. That is the way that we communicate today, and I think there's a lot of chances to be taken in the future for the hoteliers.
And Gerrit?
Absolutely agreed. It's interesting that both of you really are talking about the holistic experience. I mean, as Robert said, it's your body, of course. These are the senses. These are the things you feel. From hello, the hello, yeah. The hello, yes. The senses that you feel are coming in from all directions. But as Roelfien says, it's also a design process. Huh? You have to be able to make an intelligent choice in involving all these aspects. So, as Roelfien says, getting the film, getting the senses excited is not just that you're receiving them, but you have to activate them. So holistically, from a body standpoint, but also from a design standpoint, an approach, a holistic approach and a holistic reception, I think is both the essence of sensory design.
So you're saying literally the journey starts from the moment you start searching for the hotel. I mean, it's as simple as that. That's the starting point is literally they first meet you online almost.
Yeah, that is the first, you get to know the hotel and the experience starts already on the website. And then of course, if you see the building, if you get there with your car or with a taxi or whatever, then the form of the building, already the smell of the outside of the building. I came across a hotel, they had really problems with the smell outside of the problem with the, I don't know how you say it in English, but it has to do with all the flushing and...
Sewage.
The sewerage.
Sewage, yeah.
And that experience starts with a smell, and smell is the sense that is the best kept memory from all the senses. So if you see somebody who smells like your mom, you immediately say, oh wow, I love her. If you have a good connection with your mom, of course. But I think outside the hotel and the smell there and getting in the hotel and seeing, so that's also important. Outside the building, the environment and what you see and what you smell.
Yeah, I hadn't really thought of that actually. Because obviously when you arrive at the hotel, your initial impression isn't walking through the door into the lobby. Actually, it's standing on the street going, oh, this is where I'm staying,
yes.
And actually, what's that smell? Yeah, that's fascinating.
And also the people that are standing outside the door, if you're in a fancy hotel and there's somebody saying, hi, oh, how was your trip, and welcome, and that is the sense to feel like loved is maybe a too heavy word, but you feel like wanted, appreciated, wanted, happy that you're here, happy to have you. I think people in the hospitality business, that is also where you can make with your team in your hotel the difference.
What would you... So, I mean, if you had a situation where your smell outside your hotel wasn't particularly pleasant, I mean, what can you do about that? I mean, is there things you can... Is there planting you can put out? Are there design features you could add in that would sort of help mask that? Robert?
Let's see. It works. It works. Definitely good. Well, of course, if there's a sewage problem, it's of course a great challenge, which would also involve the city you're in. It's a bit of an overpowering thing. So that would be if it's a case of being beyond your limits as a hotelier to fix, it would be a great asset to make people come in, to draw people in with a very nice entrance. An entrance is the facade is of course the face of your building, is of course the face of your hotel, but the entrance, it's like the mouth, it's like the taste, it's the first taste of your hotel comes in the entrance. So it's key to make that entrance so incredibly tasty that you want to come in and think, wow, okay, wait, this is where it happens, this is where I'm going to experience my stay.
You're from the food and beverage side.
I'm thinking you're not suggesting people lick the walls or anything like that. You know, we're not going there, right?
But Robert, we did a project together recently, the Florian Hotel, which mentioned earlier. We had a bit of an issue there as well, because it wasn't the smell, but it was Hoofddorp itself. I mean, Hoofddorp is not really the most exciting part of Amsterdam, even though it's Greater Amsterdam these days. So we seriously said, what are we going to do? And Tony luckily bought an office space which had a huge atrium inside. So we turned it around. We made a flashy outside to give it a context within this drab environment.
Yeah,
but the
great.
minute you walk inside, you become part of an internal world. So you try to counter it with other senses. I mean, you try to balance the negative with the positive. And maybe you have to exaggerate the smell on the inside of the hotel sometimes, if the outside is really... And I think that's one way of working the senses. If you get a negative impulse, react with it, with a punch.
I would like to add to that, because that's what... It's one part is drawing people in, but of course it's about getting people to return. It's
true.
The most important. It's the most important part, because people's gonna watch the website, they're gonna watch the video, but the best advertisements, of course, word of mouth. Your friend saying this is a great place to stay because I'm going to return there, and that's your opportunity as a hotelier, is to make people at home feel at home. And actually, the part about sensory design, it's not about grabbing people by their senses as much as it is about making it's making an unforgettable experience. But it could also be an unforgettable experience, could also be a negative experience. So in the first place, it's about avoiding that negative experience, creating comfort, creating security, creating a nice environment for people to stay. That's the flat line. And after that comes your hospitality, and that does the trick.
But that's about understanding your hotel's brand, I take it, and that your identity as who you are as a hotelier and a hotel. That you must have to have a very strong idea of what it is you want people to come into your space and feel.
Yeah, I think that, again, it is a combination of all the senses that you have, as you're a human is all about senses again. And you can also emphasize on some of these senses. For instance, to have a scented, how do you call it, the ventilation, so that everyone knows Abercrombie with their smell. Everybody wanted it some years ago. So that's a very strong identity based on a smell. So if you come in, that feels like, oh, I'm here. And I think personal experience also is everything that is in order and you smell, and that is a full balance of all these parts, you're really good to go and feeling comfortable. But if you're in your bed and you have an air conditioning blowing over your bed and it's cold, or you enter the room and it's 30 degrees, I think you should also, talking to my clients, very much focus on what does the client experience and where can we improve and where do we want to focus on. So I think air conditioning, which is very much related to your senses.
Temperature as a sixth sense it's not really in the list, but temperature is so.
It's your feeling,
like acoustics as well.
Yeah. So if you, I think that is very important to focus on these techniques, and it's not something that is from nowadays, and it's not like hip to do these things. It's more the awareness that we will be more successful if we integrate all these features that appeal to our senses.
Do you feel that's a lot of technology now? I mean, we're seeing a lot more technology coming into hotels, and I mean, I suspect you guys have been doing sensory design from the moment you started designing. I mean, it's literally the DNA of design, I'd imagine.
Of good design.
That's so
Yeah,
true.
of good design.
There's a difference. I mean,
Yeah.
it's making a picture is one thing, and I think good designers are defined by the fact that they are focusing on the holistic sensory experience, and that defines actually the quality.
But and there's technology is allowing us to have a lot more control over things. And do you think that
That's
people
true.
are? Is it because actually that's also seeping into people's day-to-day lives? I mean, we talk about smart speakers, and I've got lights that I switch on with my voice at home. These things, we're becoming more familiar with those in our own settings. Is that where hotels are going, or have they always been doing that and we just haven't really noticed?
Well,
Because
technology has, of course, really taken a few huge leaps in the last 20 years. I mean, we're in a new world, so we can actually control light, and we can control temperature. And this was 100 years ago definitely not the case. I mean, you had a bulb, and you were happy with the stove. So I think acoustics these days, light, temperature, smell, ventilation, also freshness. The fact that no longer smoking is allowed inside has transformed places sensorily very much. I mean, there are people who miss the smoky bars, but in general, it has really changed the environment. So the technology has taken huge leaps, and we now have the ability to actually fine-tune environments. If there is sufficient budget, we can do it to a very fine degree. But as far as control from the user itself, my experience is you have to try to limit that.
Well, I was going to say, actually, I mean, do you
such
feel like it
it
can be
becomes
too
very
complicated?
complicated.
That's it. The
Yeah.
complexity suddenly becomes.
Keep it simple.
I mean, one of the things I struggle with, and this is very silly, is I never know which switch turns on which light in the hotel room, and there's always that big switch at the door, and then I think, have I left that one on? I find that complicated. But are we in danger of making it too complicated that people are just stand in their room, not sure what to do?
That's also the idea that I have about, for instance, luxury design. What is luxury design? And I think there is a point where you say, like, luxury design is not that you have like all these different features, because that doesn't feel luxurious. It feels like very overwhelming and too difficult. And I think luxury is also the way that it's all very clear. Here's my button to push for the light. Here's my vent or whatever. And I think that is really important, to keep it simple. Really keep it simple. Smart design.
Most definitely. It's incorporating technology can create a sense of alienation for your guests. There is a breaking point, which will create a moment of confusion, of definite confusion for your guests, and it's such a subtle balance in these days, and it's really hard because we're talking about senses. We have this box at the entrance in which Mieke Bergers is standing to welcome everybody. It's a very innovative idea, but the touch you have as a hotelier with your guests, it's limited to one sense, two senses actually. It's just vision and hearing. But of course, if we want to address all five senses in different degrees, it's also about touch, which is not as convenient these days, but touch is also handing something to someone, giving a gift, offering them a cushion in the back, which is also a sense of touch. You're making them more comfortable, and it's a personal approach. It's not.
So the hologram won't do the job.
I'm afraid not, Gerrit.
No, it's what I also show in. We have the stand here, the lobby and the suite, and the theme of the suite is embrace, and that's also a sense like feeling embraced and embracing, and that is almost tangible and so much more important these days. So there is a change, like putting a cushion, the personal attention, and also closer to people. So we have a presentation of different faces in our stand to emphasize on it's about people and it's what people feel, what our guests feel. So embracing and close to people, that's what I think these days are two features that somehow with the technology or kind of senses you could emphasize on.
Making people feel at home, I think. Huh?
Yes.
I mean, you're a specialist in creating fantastically comfortable and fine homes.
Thank you.
And when I noticed you talking about the hospitality environment, the hotel environment, that sense of feeling at home is very central, I think,
Yes,
in your approach. And we've been busy a lot with identity. A lot of our projects are identity driven. And in the hospitality field, I think feeling at home, even though it has identity, but that feeling of comfort, of pleasing the senses in a pleasant way, is the difference between sensory design and experience design, I think. Experience design is when you want to trigger, when you actively want to, and that's a different area, and you want to activate, and
Ideally, it would be a mix.
absolutely.
Well, I believe it should be a mix, because it's not about mindlessly triggering senses. It's about the vision behind engaging the senses. It's about your identity as a hotelier. It's about your vision as a hotelier. That should be captured by the way you engage your guests.
And in balance with your identity, that is, I think, very important.
And it's also really depending on what you looked for. We stayed in the Mondrian in Doha, which Marcel Wanders designed for a few days, and that's a sensory overload, which is fantastic. I mean, it was like being a bit in Disneyland on a high-end hospitality level for 2 days, and it was extremely pleasurable. But we were in the mood of being locked into this space and being taken from, like being on a cruise ship, being taken from experience to experience, and we came out really happy.
Within the hotel?
I don't think I'd want to live there permanently.
Within the hotel? Did you leave the hotel much, or were you just in
once.
there once? Just I want the entire sensory experience.
We wanted to see Doha.
So what are the
Entire
there's some takeaways. I mean, what I hear is that you want to create a space that feels like home, that people feel comfortable in. If you've got a hotel now, what are the quick things you could do? What are the easy wins, I suppose, that you could add or think about if you've got a hotel to enhance that in terms of sensory design?
Without refurbishing?
Well, yeah. I mean, not everyone has massively deep pockets, and clearly, we're coming off the back of a pretty difficult time in the hotel industry, and I think people obviously, I would imagine, have we got hoteliers in the audience? Yeah, I imagine. I can't speak for you, but I imagine. Sorry, but I imagine you're wanting to. You've come here because you think, actually, I'd like some little design. I'd like to get some ideas as to what I could maybe do, but I don't have a load of money because obviously we've been closed for a couple. So, what are little things that they could do that would actually enhance the experience?
I think the holistic approach is intelligence. I mean, look at the whole picture, and try to make choices along the line which will enhance. Improve all the senses and tackle the real problems. I mean, we're looking at some office spaces now post-corona, which are completely challenged because of the problem of acoustics. If you don't solve the acoustics problem, then you can put in some beautiful furniture, but it'll still be a terrible space. So I think you really have to make a good analysis of where the problem areas are and focus on them. And I would prefer to give people old furniture and even an ugly environment, but which is acoustically and temperature-wise comfortable, than to make a beautiful space which sucks qua use.
Yeah, I think there are. I agree with Gerrit that is very important that you see where can I improve, where are the points that I can do better with my guests and with the guest experience. And of course there are easier things like already I think again the scented ventilation is something that is easily more easy and less less expensive. And on top of that, you could also do something with lighting. I think acoustics and temperature. On top of that, lighting is one of the most important things that make you feel like welcomed, or cozy. Having the wrong light temperature makes already that you're off. And for instance, just changing your bulbs could have a different idea. And there are great specialists in the field that we work with. And we already did these things, just changing the lighting and have a total different experience.
I suppose it's identifying what you want that space to do for the guest and being really clear about that.
Yes, but also I think the knowledge about what lighting can do and that there is a difference in lighting temperature, it's still the case that you come in, you say, okay, this is more like a yellow light and the LED is in a white tone, and that is irritating on one side, and it's also not in balance, and it's something that stands out like, okay, wow, this is so white. And that is one of your senses, like, yeah, that's not a sense that you want to emphasize on.
Well, this is I agree. I definitely agree. It's about the basics. It's about getting it right, getting comfort, getting acoustic comfort. And beyond that, of course, it's all in your own hands. It's in the hands of your employees. I agree with Roelfien. It's about human. Between us humans, we can engage each other through sight. We can smile. We can talk to each other. We can give each other compliments. We can touch each other. And
I think the smile is a great...
Definitely. And also, it's in your personal identity as a hotelier, as a team. What is your favorite scent? What's your favorite food? What are your hobbies? If you're into plants, fill up your lobby with plants, because plants are so fragrant, even from themselves. Even these plants, we had them in the back of our storage yesterday. I walked in there. It was a dark hole, but the plants smelled so amazing. It was the most amazing experience I've had.
Biophilic.
It's so amazing. But if you're into woodworking, the smell of wood is amazing. So it's also in your identity as a hotelier. Bring that out, because guests will feel it. If you have a nice smell from the shop, it's a nice smell. But if it's your favorite smell, guests will feel it, definitely.
Are there commercial opportunities that come off the back of that? I mean, I'm thinking of things like Soho House and their homewares range, or their furniture. There's the Hotel Costas and its playlists. You know, could you move into territory where actually you could make some money from this?
I think that is a great opportunity for hoteliers. I'm working now with Oostwegel Collection on a new hotel idea for one of their restaurants. And we're also talking about how you can personalize things and also commercialize them at the same time. So that is smell, that is soap, that can be a playlist. What was my favorite playlist when I was here? So it can go to lots of other stuff that you sit on a chair or a small pedestal that you love, and that everything could be for sale. And I think that is also something that people like, that they have the opportunity to do the same thing in their homes and have the same smell, so they remember this great visit. It's definitely a definite opportunity. What we also do is working with ateliers, so art galleries, and to have like spaces where you have a smart gallery of one artist. And that is also an extra opportunity to have a commercial thing in your lobby or an extra space. And it's also a very intelligent way, I think, to do.
You're sort of becoming a destination. You're becoming a real destination.
Yeah, but with art and an artist with a story that it can easily be incorporated in your vision. And I think as the bigger this experience is, all in that same balance, the more people come back and say, okay, that was great. I want to go there, see which artists they have now. I want to see this gallery, and oh wow, this smell. So I think, and that is a great way to commercialize and to get an extra income over that.
Because it is multisensory. I mean, the more elements that you introduce, the more interesting, of course, and the rich it becomes. I think the transformation of the last years has been that it's become less one-dimensional, and I think we see that in all areas of life, actually. The richness of the diversity triggers the senses much stronger than the one straight line that once was the commercial road. I think commerce lies in offering many different aspects.
Are there parts of the hotel that hotels really seem to forget in terms of sensory design? Are there when you go to hotels, are there places that where you walk through bits and you're thinking, why haven't they done something here? This is perfect. Is there, are there gaps basically in experience?
Definitely.
Back of house.
Back of house.
Back of house.
That's true. Yeah.
That's interesting. So why back of house? Because obviously that's not the guest's experience.
It's not the guest experience, definitely, but it does have the way your employees feel, the way they feel when they go to the back. They move through the door. I've seen many big hotels, their back of house in my days. But it's always gray. It's always acoustics bad, lighting bad. It's dirty. Sorry, it's mostly dirty. So,
obviously not in anyone's back of
Not
houses here, clearly.
I'm
You
not
all got
naming
lovely
any
back of
names.
houses.
I'm not naming any names, but it makes you feel a certain way, and it costs a lot of energy to keep the positive vibe if your own working environment is not looking as great or feeling as great as it should be. So yeah, back of house.
Did you expect back of house? Any of you? Did any of you think back of house? I didn't. That's fascinating. Roelfien, anything?
Yes, I find it it's so true. Really fascinating that you say so, because I think the enthusiasm of people to work somewhere is driven by your own work environment and not by what you do for the guest, not only. So I think that is really very important. The other thing that I want to emphasize was also more visible is the corridors in a lot of hotels. I think it is a challenge to keep them nice, because all those big not cars, but carts need to go there. And you need to be very smart to design that beautiful. You can do a lot with lighting and also light again. Sometimes these corridors are really very dark, and if you're over 45, then
I'm nearly there.
it could be challenging to read something. And I think it should be accessible for anybody. Not that I feel disabled, but I think light corridors, there could be more design to it.
But I mean, if you're struggling, I mean, I was at a hotel and trying to read their menu in their restaurant, and I couldn't, for the life of me, read it because the light was so dim. And I'm not over 45. I'm only 44. But thank you very much. But I was like, trying to get a bit of like, that's not an experience you want. You want to be able to know what you go, read the menu and be able to see what it is you're gonna purchase.
And you need your phone to look at it, and
yeah, I had my
then
torch
everybody
out.
sees that you're over 45. So
There is a magnifier on your iPhone if you need to use that. You can. Not that I have used it. Thank you very much.
I think a good analysis. I think the blind spots, show up everywhere, and I think it's very important, and that's something which I think it was done far too little in the past, and in the entire field of interior design, is that you start with a good analysis of the current situation and of the entire of the client, of the worker, the back of house, everything. Bring it into scope, and once you brought that into scope, then you can. I really think that's the beginning point, and then there's a lot of fantastic solutions, but you have to find the pain spots first, and people get blind. You need an external party that has a feeling, and will look at the menu and say, but you can't read this. Or say, Jesus, it's a mess back there. Somebody's gonna make it clear, I think. So I would advise just get people in there to make a good analysis.
I mean, I know 3 exceptional designers who would be perfect for that kind of work. I'm going to take some questions. We've got about 10 minutes left. Has anybody got any questions in the audience? Anybody? No? Well, I've got a couple more questions. Oh, we've got a question here with the lady in the mask.
Hello. What about the flooring of the corridors? Usually they used to put carpets, but would you put another kind of flooring? And also, what about another question? A different design on each floor. Do you still like that kind of style?
I heard about a floor that you asked
usually,
about the
in
material.
the past, we were used in this kind of carpeting in the corridors because of the sound, I guess, of the luggages.
Yeah.
But now we also see wood also,
Hard
or
floors.
The hard floors, more hard floors
So-
these days. Yeah, yeah.
what do you think? Is it
Yeah, we do different things. We still work with carpets, but also with the laminated wood that looks like wood. That is also a feature, and it depends also very much what the underlayment of the eventual material is, to make sure that it doesn't that the sound is not too much for the people that.
Sensory
that's-
speaking, sound, of course, in the
Yeah,
corridors
yeah.
are. You want to keep that a little bit down, so carpeting is understandable.
Yeah, but you can also do lots with the walls. So having like not especially a carpet, but you can also do fabrics on a wall, which also gives another idea on the acoustics. So, and acoustic materials on the ceiling. Nowadays you have these materials, and you can design like hanging features, for instance, from an acoustic material, and then you can play a bit with all the materials that are on the walls, the floor, and the ceiling. So having that in the right balance, you can also play with your acoustics.
I think the problem is often budget. If you know what people are willing to spend per square meter in a hallway, then all of a sudden all the options go out the window. So we had these discussions at Tony, how to approach and how much money are we allowed to spend in a hallway area. And I think there's a lot of these things should be readdressed. And it also is all completely connected with the longevity of spaces. Do you want to change environments? Is it doable, or is it still of this day to transform a space every 5 years? Yeah, how can you create environments which last longer? Which is not so much a sensory issue, but
No,
it
but
is
very
it is
important.
it is the way that we want to move towards. And then you have more options, you have more budget, and then you can create other things.
I love a thick carpet with a nice underlay in our corridor, and you're walking down it toward your room, and you're thinking, "What a lovely carpet this is! This feels very luxury." So I definitely am for carpet. But there's also a question about different design on each floor. So would that be a good idea? Do you think? Like what? Were you thinking like sort of very different designs on each floor, so it demarcates each floor? Yeah. I suppose that's your choice. I guess. I suppose that's your own design choice whether you want to. Go on, sorry, Robert.
Well, Gerrit, we know about different carpets on different floors.
I feel there's a story there, but for another time.
But yeah, definitely, it's as in my personal opinion, it's quite essential to have different kind of treatments on the floor and on the walls on each. Generally,
hallways are one of the most disorienting spaces in a hotel. What we do is, and what we did at the Florian as well, we make sure you got daylight here and there. You have orientation. We did a different color per floor, basically just to give people a feeling that they're not on the same floor. Not because we wanted to make a design statement, but we wanted to give a bit of orientation and a sense of place.
I think if you look at the different floors, they should connect with the environment that you get in from the hallway. So if you decide to have like on each and every floor different vibes or a different a design idea, could be, then it's nice to do different hallways on different floors. But I think they should be very much connected to each other, because if the hallway is so different from the room, it distracts, and it is not a surprise that you feel like balanced. It's not like, oh, here's the hallway, oh, how beautiful I get in the room. It's not that I like, oh, wow, oh, not what I expected. I think it's very important that you do things that are expected from my point of view in design.
Once again, holistic.
Holistically design, yes.
and these print carpets are of course a great budget. Well, they're not budget, but it's a good combination. It allows you to have a great cover, a soft cover for your hallways, and at the same time it allows you to play with color, to play with structure. So it's 2 in 1. Instead, you put wood on the floor and you have to provide something for the walls, for example.
This is your carpet, isn't it, Robert?
Yes,
Well,
it is.
Robert designed this space for us, and I love this carpet, by the way. Is there any more questions? Well, actually, no. Right, well, I've got a couple of questions. Right, sensory design hats off, designer hats back on. What are the design trends at the minute that are really exciting you?
I'm focusing at the moment on some housing projects and creating communities and large environments. And then, what we try to do is when we create large complexes, we try to see how we can introduce biophilicism in a certain way, how to get nature connecting to a space, and also to make it last. You know, we've done plants inside for ages, but when does it work and when doesn't it? And what is it? That's one. And it's something everybody in the interior is busy with at the moment, but it really needs more attention, is how to work with the circular approach to interior products and spaces, because the waste is still a very big thing, and how to make spaces that can transform through time. These are the challenges we see for the next couple of years, to see how we can find programs to make spaces work for a long time.
Yeah, I think the idea working sustainable is very much comes more and more important. And thinking of durability, it's also nice that you can buy or design things that are a bit more expensive, because they last now 10 years instead of 5 years. And I find that a good vibe, or a good...
Our approach, exactly.
Yeah, so that is very very good these days. And furthermore, I think what I say in my stand also in the lobby, embracing and closer to people, that I find great, that really gets to the people, to their head and to their heart. And I think that is the way, especially in hospitality design, but in each and every design, also if you work in residential, that's so important to be close to people, to understand people, and to listen. If you are a designer, I think you have to love people. Otherwise, you're not capable of do this job.
Anything you'd like to add, Robert?
Thank you so much for this beautiful comment.
We should do more together, I hear.
Definitely. For us, definitely, we are very happy with this increased focus on sustainability in our profession. We are always busy with it. This carpet made by Ege is fantastic, but it's also 100% recyclable. They take it back and they create new carpets. This wallpaper, it's recyclable, and we're working on the actual producer to take it back, because that's also the issue is not source, it's about the end of life. It's about people actually taking it back. So we're working on that, that's the base. Outside of that, we are not about trends. We are about getting inspired, we are about inspiring other people. And this sustainable trend is making us get better and better and better at that. So that's mostly our vision.
That's great. And where can we find you in the show?
We're at stand J28. It's just down the hallway to the left.
And he's showcasing our chair from the gallery, the big fluffy monster, in their stand.
Thank you, Gerrit.
And if you can get out of his great chair that sits beautifully, you can go to grab a coffee or something to eat at the lobby and the suite that I designed for the show, and you can drink a wine or whatever, eat something. So feel welcome to visit us there and get the idea behind embrace and close to people.
Thank you. Gerrit, are you exhibiting?
Yeah, the one chair.
Oh, the one chair. Ladies and gentlemen.
No, we have the gallery in Utrecht. So we invite everybody. We've got the chair gallery. If you're in Utrecht, you must come visit us. We have a collection of artisanal dining chairs, I think unparalleled, or maybe in Europe at the moment. So don't miss it.
Come along and have a sit.
Wonders Chair Gallery.
Ladies and gentlemen, our sensory design panel, thank you very much.